The plight of the American retiree is an absolute American travesty. I know I talk to baby boomers, those getting ready to retire. I work a lot with people that have been retired for 10 years and they are just shocked at the position that they find themselves in. There's many steps that you can do to avoid this, and we're going to talk about probably one of the greatest things that you can do to protect yourself, protect your buying power, because you're going to live a lot longer than you really think. My practice, I typically work with an awful lot of my baby boomers. Now, I'm going to let you know that I see this absolutely every single day. When you see these people in the malls and in the parks, you need to give them a little bit of compassion. They did not realize this was going to happen to them. America let these people down. A lot of their pensions let them down. A lot of the labor unions let them down. A lot of companies let them down. And here in America, you can be whatever you want to be, but here is the secret that you need to take control of your life and you can become whatever you want. And your life will be whatever you want. But these folks here in America, 41.9 million American retirees depend entirely on Social Security. That's all they have. Social Security, that is the only thing they have coming in. 41.9 million Americans. This is their sole income. Now, most of this is due to lack of planning, but I hear stories all the time how pension funds have closed, how they're not getting what they thought they were going to get, how they've outlived their savings, and they're living on next to nothing. Let's just go through this. We don't want this to happen to you. This is so hard to believe. You know, when I work with baby boomers, the vast majority of them just could not wait to retire. Get out of work, quit going to work, get that check each and every month and start living, start having some fun. The kids are grown, school's been paid for, and now this is the golden years. We're going to go have great fun. And almost invariably, my clients retired at 62 years old. Now, this is an absolute statistic that we get from Social Security Administration, that the average Social Security benefit check in America in 2021 is $1,543. Women have it even worse because most of the time they stayed home, particularly my generation, they stayed home, raised the kids, they didn't work. So constantly, if you don't work, you don't have Social Security benefits. And the average spousal benefit is only $821 in 2021. And the average married couple is less than $2,600 a month. Now, you can get maximum benefits. You can have worked all your lives. If you're attorneys and doctors and IT people, high wage earners, you're going to get more than this. But most of us Americans aren't that way. Most of us have been worked all our lives. You know, they're teachers and they're working hardware stores and they worked in the field and they worked on carpenters and plumbers, and they don't have this. So the Social Security Administration gives a total married couple $2,600 a month. But when one of the spouses die, they lose that benefit. And typically it's us men, because women outlive us, and your wife then drops down to what your either maximum benefit was for you or her, but she doesn't get both. So she goes back down to $1,543, thereabouts, less than $1,600 a month to live on for the rest of her life. $1,600 a month to live on. Now just imagine that. Now, I'm married. My wife is going to outlive me greatly. She's in great shape. She could live to 100. You want her to live really, really well. This is your sweetheart. This is the one you spent your life with. You don't want your wife to be a burden on the family. You want to be the leader in the family. Now, study after study after study says that if you're going to retire in America and maintain a middle-class lifestyle, we're not talking extravagant. We're talking about maintaining your house, food, your homeowners association, pay your taxes, pay your insurance, that you need $53,000 a year in spendable income. That's just a little bit over $4,000, like $4,200, $4,300, $4,400, $4,500. Now, do you see the disconnect here? Do you see the disconnect between needing $4,500 just to maintain a middle-class lifestyle and the average married couple getting $2,600? So there's a $1,900 a month shortfall across America. And these are the people who have more than this. So these are the people who have a little bit of pension. They have some savings. Maybe they've got a retirement account for themselves. Now, in my work, I'm going to tell you that it's astounding that if you have $300,000 saved, that you're in the 83 percentile. 83 percentile, you're almost an elite with only $300,000. And if you go to your financial planners, they're going to tell you $300,000. Well, you can take out 4% a year. 4% a year for 30 years. That's just great if you die before 30 years. If you die when you're 28 years, you still had a little extra. But if you live past that, past your nest egg, you are going to be gone. It's all going to be gone. And here's the thing, is if you think you have $300,000 and you're allowed to take 4% to last you 30 years, because nobody wants to outlive their nest egg, that's $1,000 a month. That's $12,000. Well, at the 83 percentile, you take $2,600 a year. That gives you like 31 or 32. You're getting another 12,000 from your nest egg. Now you're at 44, and you need $53,000 to maintain your lifestyle. So having $300,000 is nowhere near enough. And at $300,000, you are in the 83 percentile. You're almost an elite, which means that most Americans, I'm going to tell you the statistics are actual, that 50% of Americans that retire, 50% of Americans that retire have less than $30,000 to live the rest of their life on. And it gets worse from here. Well, when you retire, you want to have some fun. You want to enjoy your life. You want to do some things that are really great. The kids are grown. Your houses should be paid for. And now it's time to have some travel and fun. Out of that $53,000, you need at least $5,000 with which you go on vacation. And that's not going to get you an extravagant vacation. Maybe you get 1 or 2 cruises, 2 of you. You're not going to be taking the top suite for $5,000 for 2 people. You're not going to be going to Club Med more than once, maybe for a week. But now we got 52 weeks out of the year with which to do something. 52 weeks of leisure and fun. Well, what do you think you're going to do? You need some money to do this. That's another $7,500 on top of that 53. So we're up to $60,000. Now, you can modify this. You can change your life a little bit. You can economize. Maybe you can get by instead of 53,000, you get by for 42 or 43, depending on where you live in the United States. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's a great place to live. We're here in Phoenix. What a wonderful location. But you need a couple of bucks to do this. Now, I talk to people all the time. They retire at 62, some last to 65. You should talk to your financial advisors. I think a lot of them are going to, depending on you, ask you to work those last 4 or 5 years and just fill up your savings accounts as much as you can and get to the full retirement benefit that you get from Social Security, which is at today, I think it's around 66 and 5 months or 66 and 6 months. And then you get full retirement, because at 62, you do not get full retirement. Now, you get a few extra years that the government's paying you. You do get that, but you're going to blow through your retirement. So you really, really need to plan this. Talk to your financial advisor. You're welcome to call me. We do this absolutely every single day, trying to figure out how we can make our investors' lives much better. And a lot of them are doing pretty doggone well. And we're going to talk about getting you some things to prevent this. We don't want this to happen to you because we forgot about taxes. Well, the tax man's not going to forget about you. You are going to have to pay your taxes. No question about it. Now, if you're not doing some tax sheltering and working on your taxes, you are going to have somewhere around $17,000 in cumulative taxes to pay on top of your $53,000, on top of having some entertainment, on top of having some travel. So where are we at? We're around $70,000, $75,000 just for you to maintain a middle-class life. $75,000 coming to you, it can easily be done. It just needs some planning. I have lots and lots of clients that are doing better than this, but I have an awful lot of people that come to me, they're 75 or 80 years old, and they're bewildered. How did this happen to them? And here's what happens. Is you retire, you got $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 in your nest egg. You retire, even if you retire at 66, you're getting $45,000, $50,000 a year from Uncle Sam. Both you and your wife had nice jobs. And it's still, we just went through the numbers. You need $70,000 to $75,000 supplemented. So you've got $150,000 in your nest egg. You've got $55,000 in income coming in, and you find you need an extra $15,000 to maintain your lifestyle. Well, if you have $150,000 in your nest egg, which a lot of people think is just a lot of money, do you know how hard it is to get $150,000 when you're working put together, when you got health insurance to pay, you got doctor bills to pay, you got cars to buy, you got kids to put through college, you got to put them through sports, you get them through dance, give them all those extra things that are going on, help them with their first house. Do you know how hard it is to get $150,000, $300,000, $400,000? It's really, really difficult. But if your income is around $45,000 or $50,000 a year, which is very, very, very typical, it means you have a shortfall of $15,000 to $20,000 a year. And even if you have a couple $100,000, in 10 years, you've gone through all your nest egg. You need to think about the fact that, hey, is my car going to last 20 years? Do I want it to last 20 years? How about some furniture? A lot of this furniture just wears out. After 5 or 10 years, you might want a new sofa. How about a new TV? How about getting a new kitchen table? And what about home repairs? Owning a home, these homes constantly need to be repaired. They're a real asset. They're a great asset, but they do require some maintenance. You need to make sure that you've got enough money to replace a car. Maybe you want 2 cars. You want to live a little bit in your golden years in retirement. The reason we're retiring is because we want to have fun. We want to go do those things that really matter to us. We want to enjoy our lives. We want to do those things that God put us on this planet to do. We want to enjoy that, and you need income and capital to do that. And the only person that's going to take care of you is the one that you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you see him every single day. That's who's going to take care of you. And if you don't take care of yourself, there's no one going to do it for you. You can live on a subsistence, but who wants to live on a subsistence? We're here to make it so it's terrific. We want a fabulous, fabulous life. And remember, retiring is a financial decision. It's not an age. It's not 62 or 66 or 70. Retiring is when you have enough money to do this. That's what retiring is all about. It's when you've got enough and you decide to do this. That's what retiring is all about. So you need a plan. You need a way to do this. Talk to your financial advisor. You can welcome to talk to us. We're really, really good at this. We design cash flow income for people. We get properties for them or give them cash flow for the rest of their lives. There's another thing people forget. We're going to live a lot longer than you thought we're going to live. The average male retiring in 2021 is going to live to their early 80s, mid 80s, 83, 84, 85 years old. So you are going to have a lot longer in retirement than you think you are. 20 years probably. Your wife may live 40 years in retirement. Now, just the average female is going to live to 86, 87, 88. If you're in really good shape, you can live a lot longer. Who wants to be 95 years old and be a pauper? At 95 or 96 years old, you might be having a great life. There's really, really good medical advances. You're going to live a lot longer. But if you don't have money, you're going to be living with your great niece or your great-great-grandchild because you're going to be dependent on someone else. You don't want that. You want to have a great life for the rest of your life. You want income that's going to last you forever. How are you going to do this? And here's what I hear all the time. This is just a travesty. I have couples come to me, they're 75 years up, 80 years old. They thought they had a great retirement. They had in 2000, they're 65 years old. They've got $100,000 a year coming in. What a great retirement for themselves. They've planned, they scrimped, they put all this income together, got a great big nest egg. They never really thought about inflation. Now, I have to tell you, we have had benign inflation for the last 20 years, 2 decades of inflation that's really well under 3%. Most of the time it was under 2%. And look what's happened to your purchasing power. It now takes $154 to buy what you paid $100 for just 21 years ago. Inflation is up 55%. You've lost purchasing power. You're not working anymore. You're not making that big salary. And you're finding that that $100,000 you put together is buying about 50. That 100 grand is less than $50,000 in purchasing power. And what does it require for a middle-class America to maintain their lifestyle? Somewhere around $70,000, $75,000, $80,000 of purchasing power. It's gone. So they didn't plan for that. They didn't do anything wrong. They just didn't realize. Even in benign inflation, it just grinds it out. Things just start getting more and more and more expensive. And after 20 years, your purchasing power is shot. And look what's happening now. That benign inflation that we've had for 2 decades, that benign inflation, we don't have that anymore. Now, if this inflation is just a blip, if it's transitory, in other words, it's only going to be a quarter or two, then I think we don't have to be too terribly concerned, except it is going to grind you out. But what happens if this spike becomes a full-blown inflationary cycle, which could be 3 or 4 years like we had in the 70s? We've talked about my other videos where we've had this huge, enormous money supply, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars waiting to find a home. And once inflation ignites, those trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are going to go. And you can easily see right now we're looking at inflation that's around 4.5%. Right now, today, June of 2021, we're looking at inflation that's in the mid-4s. Now, we've been having some around 2, well under 3. We're already in the mid-4s, could go to 7 or 8, maybe. What are you going to do if it does? How about that purchasing power in benign inflation? You lost over 50%. What's it going to be like when you have not benign inflation? When you have, pretty robust inflation, which is possible. We're looking right at it. Maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not, but you have to plan that it's possible. What are you going to do then? You need a whole lot more money. That's for sure. You need 55% more money just to get back to where we were. So if you think $1 million is going to do it, or you better start thinking maybe you need $1.6 million or $2 million bucks. Because inflation is going to erode your purchasing power and go right into your nest egg. Even if you can maintain your nest egg, inflation is going to eat out your purchasing power. So it's as if you spent it anyway. Just think back. Prices are up a lot. I mean, going to the doctor certainly is much higher. Getting your teeth cleaned, oh my God, it's so much more expensive. Going to the emergency room, just for you to go to the emergency room is going to cost you $6 to $10 grand. Well, that's called inflation, price inflation. And when you're mid-80s, you can't do anything about that. You just pay and pay and pay, and you watch your nest egg erode. Now, the time to make something change is now. When you're 45, 50, 60 years old, we can make some real significant changes. And of course, now if you've been following my work, you realize we're heading into probably one of the greatest bull markets in the real estate industry, 20 years, 25 years. You can only get a few of these opportunities ever in your lifetime, and you got one right now. So talk to your financial advisor. We're more than happy to help you find some properties that are going to cash flow basically forever. Absolutely, positively, the very best inflation hedge that you and I can get is a single family home. Now, if we're going to do this, why wouldn't you go to the great markets, Florida, Texas, and Arizona? Get yourself a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage that's going to rent for you in one of the great markets of the world. And why do we say it's an inflation hedge? Why do we say it's an inflation hedge? Because the components are an inflation adjusted. So when you see lumber going up, when you see copper going up, when you see aluminum going up, concrete and labor, and you see workers going up, these new homes go up in value and they drag the existing homes up with them. And just look. Now, this is what we're talking about in order for you to preserve your capital, your nest egg. We want to make sure that your assets track inflation. Now, this is coming out of the Federal Reserve electronic data system. It doesn't get much more authoritative than that. So this is a Case-Shiller across the country home price index. Now, March 2001, the average home price in America was $115,000. I know in Los Angeles, San Diego, New York, it's going to be different. But across America, it was $115,000. And look what happened in benign inflation, even going through this horrible, horrible bubble that we had 20 years later, because I adjusted this as 20 years later. It's $252,000. It has more than doubled. That means that you could have bought something when you retired. Maybe bought a couple of rental properties that would give you some income, and the value of those rental properties would more than have doubled in 20 years. And instead of spending your nest egg, putting yourself at risk, you would have doubled the assets. So that $300,000 price, that $300,000 nest egg that you had you bought a couple of properties in 2001, they were 115 grand a pop. You could have bought two of those, and that'd be worth about $500,000. In a great market, so the United States, it'd be worth a whole lot more than that. But we're talking on a national basis. We're talking about every little village and hamlet in America. So just a little smart things to do like this would have preserved your purchasing power and given you assets. Now you could have taken a loan out against them. And if you can't take a loan out against, you could sell one. You'd still have another. If you just bought two, take that 300 grand and bought two properties that gave you income, you could sell them and you preserve your nest egg. That nest egg would have grown for you. How cool would that have been? Instead of being a pauper, you'd actually have made some money. Now, this is still going on. It's going to get even better. So if you're retiring now and you feel like your retirement account is just a little on the low end, you've got an opportunity. It only comes around every 18 and a half years. It's unfolding now. Now, give us a call on this. We're really, really good at that. We can acquire some properties for you and work with your advisors and get this done for you. Make sure this is good for you. Now, this is even the best part. Now, I actually use Phoenix, Arizona, because we can go back 20 years on our data. And this is absolutely what we're talking about for purchasing power for yourself. Absolute purchasing power. What a great vehicle this is for you. In 2001, the average rental for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Phoenix, Arizona was $1,153. $1,153, that's what it was. I know in other parts of America it was more, but here in Phoenix, it's $1,153. 20 years later, it's $1,903. Now, do you see how this preserves your purchasing power? It's up to $1,903, and it keeps going up. So as prices keep going up, rent keeps going up with them. So not only does the value of the property go up, but the rent goes up too. It preserves your purchasing power. You and your sweetheart can live a good life. This is not rocket science. This is just reality. This is what's going on in America. We're really, really good at this. So I'm going to toot my horn here a little bit. If your pension fund, your retirement account, the nest egg that you have and you're 50 years old, looking a little thin, and you're starting to worry about what's going to happen to me and my baby when we retire, well, we can do something about that. Talk to your financial advisor, make sure it works for you. But we're really good at this. We can develop a cash flow that's going to last you really basically the rest of your life. You see how that has worked over the last 20 years. Not depleting your assets, we're growing your assets. Now, if you follow my work, we just did a video on 3 tips for the first-time real estate investor. We talk to investors all the time. We understand that this isn't what you do. This is what we do. We're really, really good at this. We've done this for years and years, decades, actually. I have my own personal portfolio. I've represented investors for 40 plus years. My wife and I retired in 1991. We semi-retired. I'll tell you, here's the problem when you're 40 years old and retiring, there are no people 40 years old to retire with. When you went to the golf course, everybody who was playing golf with was in their 60s and 70s. So I semi-retired, went back and had some fun. We raised our kids. We just had a blast. But I've been financially free since 1991. You can do this. This is not tooting my horn. I'm telling you, you can do this. I've done it. You can do it. It's not too late. You've got the greatest real estate bull market in your life coming at you. Talk to your financial advisor. I'm not telling you to take all of your money and put it into real estate, but you should probably have a portion of your real estate or your portfolio in real estate. It's a very compelling investment anyway, but this is great long-term for you. This will preserve your purchasing power, preserve your capital. So when you're 85 or 90 years old, you're going to be thumbs up. You're going to be having great fun. You're going to be having a wonderful, wonderful part of your life. You're going to be able to do all those things that you want to do. You're going to be able to help your grandkids buy houses, help them get better schools. You want to get them into their school plays and get them into their all their different functions, help them with their sports, get the tutors that they need, because you are going to be wealthy. All the money that you've earned all your life will preserve that and grow it, and you'll be able to do all those things that you want to do. This is what we do. I want you to do this. Now, this is where I get to brag a little bit about myself. Just wrote a couple of books. If you like my video, give me a big thumbs up. Give me a big thumbs up. It really helps with our marketing. If you like it, subscribe it. We really have a mission here to help retirees have a great life, to spread the ability to create wealth and to help our fellow man. This is good for you. If I can help in any way, reach me at michael@michaeldeville.com. My very, very best to you. We're very, very good at what we do. Talk to your financial advisor. See how putting real estate might help your portfolio. We have a very, very compelling real estate cycle. We're coming into probably the greatest bull market in my lifetime right now. We're here in one of the great markets of the United States. We're in Maricopa County, Phoenix, Arizona, Chandler, Gilbert, Scottsdale, Peoria. These are really, really good marketplaces. There's others in the United States, Florida, Texas, and Arizona. Almost everything in the United States, if we get inflation going, is going to do well. You can really boost your returns by being in one of the great markets. And we're right here. We have property managers. We've done this for years and years and years. So you're welcome to reach me at michael@michaeldeville.com. We'll help you acquire some properties. My very, very best to you.